Carter family, Carter gang. What it do, y'all? What it do, y'all? Back with y'all with another one. Now, I know y'all been hearing about the Bricc baby situation, the ongoing saga. It's just crazier and crazier. Another chapter unfolding in the Bricc baby situation, man. His situation been crazy from the get. Bricc baby whole story gonna be told one day on the documentary. You hear me? It's Bricc, not the trick. Now, allegedly, Bricc, not the trick, let off Blicc. And now he getting extorted by a snitch, right? According to Flacco, if I got it right. So we finna check out this video. According to Flacco, one of Bricc own homies is doing him dirty. One of Bricc own homies is doing him like Chauncey did O-Dog and Kane.
Bet you Kane won't be laughing after 5 will get a hold of this motherfucking tape. You bet that shit, nigga.
Now, it's been confirmed, all right? A Rolling 60 Crip from an organization that Bricc baby has essentially given his life to told on Bricc baby. I'm not a gang member. I'm a civilian, all right? So maybe it's not my place to speak on this, but I feel like I kind of have to because loyalty means something. And the fact that Bricc baby gave his entire life to a particular organization and the fact that somebody from that organization would do him this dirty, would do him this bad. And I'll even go further to say, yo, they're part of the reason this entire Fed case is even on Bricc baby. Back in 2022, Bricc baby was going by his day conducting some business. Now, while conducting business, some trouble found him. Now, it's believed that Bricc baby was conducting business within the 60s, right? Or within an adjacent neighborhood, somewhere he felt safe at. When he was conducting business there, 2 men approached Bricc baby.
Now, what business was Bricc conducting in the parking lot? That's what I said. I think we could put 2 and 2 together. Bricc was probably trapping. The homies probably came and tried to tax, try to press a big U issue on him. You know what I'm saying? It probably was some big U involvement in this. You know what I'm saying? You know, Big U wanted a piece of everything that went down in the 60s. Or somebody of that nature, somebody of that ilk and that cloth. And it seemed like Bricc baby wasn't going for it. And let off them things. Let off 3 of them. Got him up off him. You feel me?
You can probably make your assumption. Who would Bricc baby be familiar with that would approach him with conflict within 60s territory? If you look at the court documents, this incident in July of 2022 was mentioned several times in Bricc baby court documents. Now, the document says, defendant is now charged with multiple counts of possessing firearms and ammunitions, all in violation of 18 USC. The first charge stems from defendant shooting 3 bullets in a business parking lot in July of 2022 to ward off would-be robbers. Now, this is tricky warding, right? Because Bricc baby
say they probably was robbers. They probably was pressing him, and they probably was gonna run his pockets, right? So I guess you could say would be robbers, but I think it was a press. It started off as a press. They was probably trying to tax the Bricc. The Bricc already like he ain't already getting all his cut from the business he doing with the homie Big U and such anyway. Like he wasn't happy with the cut he was doing on the little stuff he was doing anyway. So don't come over here when I'm trapping in the hood and try to press me. What about that money? You know what I'm saying? I could just imagine what that was about, but we can't talk about that. You hear me?
The first charge stems from defendant shooting 3 bullets in a business parking lot in July of 2022 to ward off would-be robbers. Now, this is tricky warding, right? Because Bricc baby was never charged with the actual shooting. Bricc was never charged with shooting somebody. However, what the feds said was, listen, we found ammunition that belongs to that gun that Bricc baby fired in the business parking lot in July of 2022. Well, then you have to ask yourself, hold on. How did the feds have record of this? Bricc was never charged for this, never arrested for this. How did the feds know that Bricc baby fired a firearm in a business parking lot within the 60s? How did they know this? Like, he was never arrested. Police were never called. Like, there was no record of this. The only people who had record of this was Bricc baby and others around Bricc baby. Well, we'll get to how the feds knew about this shortly after, right? So then the feds go on and talk about his other charges. The second charge involves all the firearms and ammunition found at his home in June of 2023. Both of these charges followed 5 felony convictions from 2010, 2012, 2014, 2016, and 2020. Goddamn. Respectfully, while the pretrial services report includes a long criminal history with out-of-state convictions. When Bricc Baby went for bond, the feds said, yo, he shouldn't get a bond because of his violent history, and they referenced this particular instance. And the Fed says defendant's offenses: possessing multiple firearms on multiple occasions and over 125 rounds of ammunition, some of which he fired, are serious. That defendant fired at would-be robbers in a business parking lot and less than a year later was found with firearms after purportedly pointing them at his partner and child, only confirmed that the defendant should not be possessing firearms. Well, how did the feds know this happened? There's no record.
Now, I can't even lie to y'all. As I'm making this video, not even before I decided to make it, but as I'm making this video, I'm starting to think, right? This is what I think happened, right? I think somebody from the 60s or familiar with that neighborhood probably did get the video. Now, the 60s is a big hood, and you got some people that's actual members. You got honorary members. You got people that be called members and ain't even members just because they been over there their whole life. So I just can't put this on the, you know what I'm saying, on the gang on the 60s. But somebody in that neighborhood, in that community, got that tape, and they don't like Bricc. And what I feel like happened, instead of them being a snitch, because, you know, people want to still be good in the hood, right? So they got some dirt on you. They might hang that over your head, but they might not even want to go through and snitch all the way because they don't want their name to be bad in the hood. So they'll give it to somebody who don't care about none of that. And I think they gave this to Wack. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I think they gave this video to Wack 100. He got the direct tie to the feds. Like, I feel like a regular street ninja probably just gonna give this to the local PD or something like that. Maybe not, but this in my heart, this Wack 100 came to my mind. You know, him and Bricc Baby just fell out, right? Him and Bricc Baby just fell out. Then all of a sudden we talking about this. All of a sudden the feds got a video. Now we gonna keep checking Flacco out. I think he tried to explain to the best of his knowledge how the feds got the video and what happened in that situation, man. Check this out.
Feds know this incident was even a thing. Well, here's what happened, okay? When the feds had Bricc Baby on wiretap, when they were investigating Bricc Baby, somebody approached them and gave them a tape of this shooting. Somebody had possession of this tape. Now you ask yourself, how did they get possession of the tape? They weren't there. It was Bricc Baby, 2 dudes. They ran off and Bricc Baby fire shots and he hopped in his whip and he left. No, this person had access to the business cameras, right? The local business owners, the mom and pop shops that were there, they had cameras. And because this was an incident that took place within the 6-0s, amongst 6-0s, a 6-0 had access to those cameras. A 6-0 got that tape. A 6-0 held that tape in their possession. And a 6-0 told Bricc, hey, I got this tape. Now, if you know anything about the situation or you were even connected to it, you know Bricc Baby was kind of concerned that somebody was telling on him. He just always felt it. Like, he always felt like, man, bro, like, I'm loyal to certain niggas, man, but it don't feel like they loyal to me. And like, he kind of went from being around certain people and said, nah, man, F it, bro. I'm by myself now. Man, bro, like, they flawed. And the reason why Bricc Baby kind of broke off a lot of relationships prior to his arrest, because he knew they turned him in. They told on him. They gave the tape to the feds of him firing that firearm. But luckily for Bricc Baby, the feds never charged him with firing the firearm. They charged him with being a felon in possession of a firearm. And when they raided his crib, which, by the way, they raided his crib and they found ammunition that they're tying to that shooting, as you just read. Now, if you listen to Bricc Baby's first jail call.
Yeah, it's some shady, man, that's some shady shit, right? It's some real Chauncey, O-Dog, and Kane. Like, somebody really don't like Bricc, not the trick, man. Because for it not to be no charges, and how I could tell how the feds typed it up and put it in the affidavit or wherever we want to call this, right? You see it's off the record. You can see that they didn't get this information from law enforcement investigating, summoning the tape, and then showing it to them. You could tell that a civilian, that they getting this from word of mouth, or, you know what I'm saying, they got this tape and this information from somebody who's from the streets. You could tell. And the fact that they ain't even charging him for discharging the firearm, and they put it in their paperwork, would-be robber. So if this is true and they seen the tape, it did look like a robbery. It was real self-defense. If they ain't charging them with this, y'all gotta understand it's almost impossible to plead self-defense in California when you outside your house and ain't no stand your ground law. I know people who even then went to jail shooting intruders. You know what I'm saying? They eventually got out, but they still got charged with certain things. You know what I'm saying? They didn't get charged with the unaliving, but you know what I'm saying? So California is a place where if you out in the public, is almost no way you could do a self-defense unless somebody blick at you first, or unless somebody try to inflict fatal type bodily harm. So in California, even if somebody get off on you and you pop Blicc, you going to jail, right? So whatever's on that video, it probably was a tussle. That you could clearly see the aggression. You could clearly see it was self-defense. But they trying to paint the picture like, you know, Bricc, okay, even if he did ward off would-be robbers, he got a gun he shouldn't carry, he's dangerous, he's in an activity. They just trying to paint the picture. The Fed is trying to paint the picture like this is a hood ninja doing hood ninja things. Okay, this was self-defense, but the only reason it was self-defense is because he in the parking lot trapping, conducting business in a parking lot where you don't own no business. They know that's AKA you trapping. Know what I'm saying? But what was he running content in the parking lot? You know what I'm saying? So they just throwing that in, even though Bricc is an innocent man, they just throwing that in just to show like this is a hood ninja. So it's wicked when you playing with the feds, and it's wicked. I really do feel like Wack 100 is involved in this. It sounds like his work. I may be wrong, like, you know what I'm saying, putting on Wack, but he just fell out with Bricc, baby. Now this situation occurred. I remember when he fell out with B-Braze. B-Braze phone got took for months.
Gang. What it do, y'all? What it do?
A lot of people that Wack fell out with Big U.
Everybody on the internet. Because the last time I left off with y'all, right, with the Loose Cannon situation, right? His brother came on there saying Loose Cannon
everybody
got
that fell out with Wack,
3 dudes
then
over
went
there.
to jail.
Nah, he didn't say how many.
Or some new charges, some information being leaked
or whatever and whatnot.
These dudes.
Then on top of that,
who else
he said Bricc baby
go
stood on business behind
it may not even be the 6 O's at all.
That's why Bricc baby got airlifted.
It may be Wack from the get. Wack, because these young ninjas ain't thinking like, oh, I don't like Bricc, he popped at me, let me go in the store and tell them to give me their camera so I could extort Bricc. I just don't. Not the YNs now maybe the older ones, maybe the Big U's and Wacks. I don't know. But man, it's just wicked. That's why I stay in school. The streets is dead. The streets is deadlocked, right? Once you hop into the streets, what I mean by deadlock, once you hop into the streets, you locked in to suffer a certain set of consequences, even when you trying to do right and when you trying to be honorable about it. Meaning you ain't even hunting hats, you just trying to stay alive, you just defending yourself. You just in the hood trapping trying to make money. Once you step into this life, it's certain consequences you're gonna have to face. And betrayal is one of them. Betrayal is one of them, man. So y'all stay in the streets. Ain't nobody your friend. You know what I'm saying? And somebody your friend, a real friend's gonna endure to the end. We can't say who our friends to the day we die. You know what I'm saying? To the day you die, that's when you gonna know who your friends is. Those who was your friends all the way to the end. But people that be your friend now, they your friend now. Until further notice, you know what I'm saying? So on further notice, man, I'm gonna let y'all go, drop y'all back off at the house, let y'all be with y'all significant other. But this video is really for the YNs coming up in the streets. Ain't no honor amongst no street niggas. Best believe that. Ain't no honor amongst no street niggas. So until then, man, it's Carter family, Carter gang, man. Free Bricc the trick.
Excuse me, free Bricc, not the trick. Till it's backwards, man. Free Bricc, and I'm about this thing.